I also think it's probably win more. All right, so Mythgard, for people that haven't seen it, this is a game that I've been playing a bunch of offline, and the developers reached out to me to do some sponsored segments. It's going to be a little bit regular part of my stream. It's going to be built into my normal schedule starting next week. It's a digital card game that you can play on Steam, on Android, or on Steam, on Windows, OS X. It runs on Linux using Steam Proton. You can play it in your web browser without installing anything. You can play it on Android and iOS. I've really liked this game in terms of where it puts the variance. So all card games have inherent variance built into them, but Mythgard notably doesn't put the variance into the resource system, which is great, which I enjoy. I'll talk through some of the basics as we go here. Yep, you can toggle sub mode off. So free the plebs in general. So the core gameplay mechanic for this game, for the resource system, is that you don't put resources in your deck. Instead, your deck, any of your cards you can use as resources here. So you never get flooded or screwed because all of your cards are both spells and resources. So for example, I'm going to take this recruiter here and I'm going to do what's called burning it and discard it down here. And you'll see I'll gain a resource and a gem color. And then this card costs me 1 total resource and requires that I have 1 orange gem. So I'm going to go ahead and play this out here. I will toggle the extension on. Good call. So the extension should be live, so you should be able to mouse over cards on the desktop now. The combat system in this game is super innovative and interactive is the more important part. All of the units that you play out are played onto a 7-lane board here. And then what your units are able to attack is dictated by what's across from them. So similar to Hearthstone, your units can attack other units, but unlike Hearthstone, similar to Magic, if there's something in front of one of your units, you can't attack through it. So there's a positional blocking element to this game. So for example, if I put my 2-3 in front of their 2-3 here, this can't attack my face. It's obligated to attack this because it's in one of the 3 lanes in front of it. So one of the sweet things that developers do in this game is when you have their partner sleeve, it automatically randomly full arts a bunch of the cards in your deck to show off their beautiful artwork. So my opponent played here, as you might have heard, a demolition speedway there. So this is an enchantment which occupies a specific lane, and any minion they put in this lane gets bigger. So this has +2 attack and overrun, which is similar to trample. So it just ran my unit over there. I'm going to go ahead and burn the 7 cost card because I'm still pretty far away from getting 7. This minion has rush, so it can attack right away. So I can go ahead and play this out here. And then my 2-2 can eat their 1-1, which is nice. And then I have 1 more resource here, so I can play out my 1-drop somewhere. I don't really want to play it in front of this because it has overrun, so it'll only absorb 1 damage. So I'll probably just play it off to the side for now.
Do we have a mission?
I have to say, coming from Magic and Arena, one of the biggest adjustments you're going to have if you try to play Mythgard is that you don't have to restart the client every 90 minutes. It just works as expected.
Is that all you've got?
All right, so this is a 5/4 that gets bigger every time I play a minion. That's not great for me. I would like to play minions out. Yep, that's been that way for a while, Frankie. All right, so I think I'm just going to attack their face here with this. We're in kind of a medium spot. Next turn, I'm going to get to play this magmataur, which deals 3 damage to the minions in opposing lanes when it comes out. So that'll deal with this and deal with some of this. I think I'm going to go ahead and play this here. Yeah, games like Shadowverse and What's the other one? What was the paper card game? Like, the anime borderline naked women everywhere is like, it's kind of cringe. I don't know how, like, regardless of, like, not even speaking to the quality of the gameplay, but I don't know how self-respecting adults play those games. You stayed on for 2 hours. I gave you my Bezo bucks. Thanks for the 7 months, Flying V. So you can see this got bigger when I played a unit. This unit here has a mechanic that's called breach. So every time it hits my opponent, it makes itself smaller and draws a card. So it starts as a 2/2, but then it slowly gets bigger. You have a naked panic raider. You're right. My mostly undead thing is very, very similar. All right, so what do I want to do here? I think I want to play out my magmataur here because it will kill this 2/3 and it'll mostly kill this. My opponent's down to just 2 cards in their hand, so if I can contain the board, the fact that I have a bunch of cards in my hand right now means I'll end up pretty far ahead here. So I'll burn that so I get my 5th resource. And then when I play Magmataur here, you can see it tells me what's going to happen if I play this card in this lane. It's going to kill their guy on the left, and it's going to deal 3 to the one in the middle. You can see if I play it here, it says it'll only deal 3 there. If I play it here, it'll kill that one. So I'm going to go ahead and play this here to kill that and this. And then this gets a little bit bigger. So this is pretty scary because this enchantment gives its overrun. My opponent's minion currently have a mechanic called Fragile, so that's why when I attack this with a 2-power guy, it takes 3. My health total is a little bit low, and I'm up on cards, so I'm just going to go ahead and take my 2-for-1 trade here. I just want to make the board smaller, basically. If I can get the board contained, I should be able to get ahead this game. Are there ramp-style decks in Mythgard? There are a variety of reanimator-style decks that are reasonably competitive. We played one yesterday. The build I played yesterday was a little medium, but there's been a few reanimator style decks. So there's a lot of deck building depth in this game, which is one of the things that really hooked me on it. So in addition to the colors of the cards that you put into your decks also have a power and a path that go with them. And paths give you different powers and impact your starting health total. And your powers do things like letting you power up your minions or moving them around. So like, for example, my power here is actually the same one my opponent has. It lets me give my minion a free move action. So normally you can only move or attack. And my power lets me have a move and then also attack. So I'm going to go ahead and play my insurance broker out down here. And insurance broker has a mechanic called energy. So it comes into play with 1 energy, and then whenever any other minion dies, it gains an energy. So these 2 will trade. She gains 2 energy, and then for 3 energy, she can draw a card. Think about energy as kind of like Planeswalker loyalty in a way. It's a resource specific to a single card. Something to note here is this card is grayed out, which means I can't burn it. And the reason for that is I've already burned this card. You can only burn each individual card once. Sounds good, Captain Command. Something else that's really sweet, all the software surrounding this game is quite excellent. There's an in-game deck tracker over here on the right side for both myself and what my opponents played. So I can see other cards they've burned back into their deck, which is quite excellent. So this is a 4-1. I think I want to kill this. So normally this draws me cards, but it has rush, so it can attack another minion. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and trade these off, which gives me 2 energy over here. Did the overlay unload? Sometimes Twitch likes to randomly... I wonder if it's an issue on Twitch's end or with their extension. The overlay randomly unloads while I'm playing. It should be back now. All right, and then this is the enchantment where they're likely to play their guys out to attack me. So if I deploy any more units, I probably want them to be deployed near this, so that way I can block them. So I'm gonna go ahead and play my oak here as a 4/3. This unit is notably immobile, so I can't move it around. And then we'll attack with that. And then my opponent was able to apply a lot of early pressure this game, but they've kind of run out of cards and we're ahead on board. And we're still at 11, which is a pretty stable life total. One of the things that this game does to balance deck building really elegantly is the number of copies of cards you can have in your deck is dictated by the rarity. So you'll see here, this card's a mythic and there's one blue dot in the corner, which means I can only have one copy of this card in my deck. This card's a common, it has 4 dots in its corner, so you can have 4 copies of it in my opponent's deck. There are 6 colors in this game. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and trade these here. It's a reiteration of Magic. I think that's disingenuous. I think calling this game a reiteration of Magic is it's kind of lazy, honestly. Like, saying this game's a reiteration of Magic is like saying every first-person shooter ever created is a reiteration of Doom. Like, it's the same genre, it's a card game like Magic's a card game, but there are a lot of things very distinct about this game and the way the mechanics work. Yes, if you decide that Mythgard is something you want to give a try to, they've hooked me up with an unlimited number of treat codes for the next week. So drop me a DM on Discord or here on Twitch and I'll send you a code. It's good for like 10 free packs and some wild cards. But Doom was a reiteration of Wolfenstein, yeah. Yeah, games like Eternal and even Hex to a degree are very close to Magic. The way the resource system in this game works and the way the game board plays out is very unique. Well, that's real good. So that just came into play and did 2 damage to all my stuff, which cleared my board. So that catches them back up a little bit here. So this has Rush. And then Dark Passenger gives one of my minions deadly, so it kills the opponent's thing when it hits it. So we'll go ahead and trade these off. I'm gonna go ahead and burn this, and I can play Peri at the Gates here, which is this is a good value card. It's a 2/2 for 4. Then when it comes into play, it draws a card. Then I look at the top 2 cards of my deck, and I get to draw one of them. So it's a 2/2 for 4 that draws 2, essentially. The lane's idea is really clever. This game feels like it takes the best parts of Magic's combat system and the best parts of Hearthstone's combat system and blends them. Because I really liked how Hearthstone let units attack other units, so that way the gameplay was incredibly interactive. But this takes a blocking element from Magic where you can't just run people's faces down, which is nice. So my opponent played both of their things over here to try and avoid my blocking unit, but now my magmataur gets to come into play and blast both of these for 3, which is sweet. So the positioning element here encouraged them to play down here, and then this card punished them for doing that. Smack him in the face. Is this game worth playing casually outside of Magic, or does it take more of a commitment? I've heard a number of people say that they play relatively casually. If you're on the fence about trying this game, my recommendation would be just do it. One of the things that they do that's really excellent is they have these things called feature decks in the game, and there's a pool of like 30 decks that they pick from, and anyone that creates an account gets 2 of them at random that you can play without owning any of the cards in them. I spent like 4 or 5 hours just playing with the feature decks on the ladder before I put any money in, like figuring out if I enjoyed the game. When I personally play, is it a high investment? I don't really do anything very casually.
Do we have a mission?
So I have a rough idea on how many packs you need for a deck or a set. So to get a complete, their first set has a large card pool in it. So their first set had has 400 cards. So getting a complete playset of everything in the main set takes quite a bit. I don't even have a full set yet after a few hundred packs. But I'm only missing mythic cards in my playsets. And the fact that this game, you can only have one copy of each mythic in your deck means that missing mythics isn't really that big of a deal. Because mythics aren't the core of most of your decks. The core of your decks is commons and uncommons. The rarity of cards is told by the dots in the corner. So the number of dots in the corner of each card tell you how many copies they can play. So this card is a mythic because there's one blue dot. This card's a rare because there's 2 gold dots. This card's a common because there's four brown dots. And this is an uncommon because there's 3.
Fortune favors us.
So even if you're not familiar with what cards your opponents are playing, you can know how many copies that they have. You can deck yourself in this game. When you deck yourself in this game, it's similar to Hearthstone in that you don't take damage, but you don't lose the game, but you take damage. They suppressed my canine. So suppressing a unit removes all text from it. So this card normally attacks all 3 lanes, but it's been suppressed. So it doesn't do that anymore. I'm going to use my power to give this a free move action so I can move this over and then attack with it. Normally you can only move or attack, but my power lets me get an extra action on one of them. Yes, it hits the face multiple times. So if all 3 lanes are blank, it attacks for 9, which is sick. So they could have an Armageddon Angel, so I'm not quite sure I want to play this Chimera. Let's go for broke. My hand's pretty good. Just fill the board out. Like make them have a sweeper here. This card when it comes into play, it creates the other heads of the Chimera on the lanes on either side of it. And they had a sweeper. That's fine. Like I said, our hand's pretty good here, and they're at 11, so like, even with them sweeping there, we're still pretty far ahead. The mid-range decks in this game tend to want certain mythics at the top end. The more aggressive decks in this game play few mythics, and replacing the mythics in them isn't that big of a deal, generally speaking, in my experience.
Hey there.
So, Recruiter here, it looks at the top card of my deck. If it's a minion, I draw it, and if it's not, it stays on top. So I feel like we've stabilized. They're going to turn this around here. If they don't have another sweeper, we've got 3 reasonable units in there at 9. Brainstorm to draw 2. Sure. That probably means they're dead. They can't do a whole lot with just 4 or 5 resources here. Survey says, when you view my opponent's profile here, you can see what rank your current opponent is, how complete their collection is. You can look at their match history. This game has a spectator client built in. If you're in client and search for my name, you can watch my match in client. You won't be able to see my hand, obviously, but you can watch the game board. You can watch replays of all the matches I or anyone else have played in the past. Whoop. Go before 2. All right, so this is lethal. I get to go ahead and Crimson Pact this, and then I have 9 damage on board. So, kill your thing, kill you. There's an alternate art Oko you can craft, really? If you want a treat code, just drop me a DM, and after I finish streaming today, I'm probably gonna go for 45 minutes to an hour here. I will DM treat codes while I'm doing my wrap up. So Discord or Twitch here. And if you're DMing me on Twitch, make sure your Twitch privacy settings allow anyone to send you a message. Because I had some people message me asking for a code who didn't have that, and they didn't get my code message back. I don't have any of my cheap red stuff, but I have a double orange card to play on too, so that's nice. I'm gonna burn. Generally speaking, you want to burn your more expensive cards early because you're not going to play them for a while. It's not alt art, it's the Planeswalker deck. Okay. How's the economy of Mythgard compared to Arena? So, the Mythgard economy is kind of a mix of Hearthstone and Arena. There are wild cards in this game, but there's also dusting and crafting from a kind of dust style system. I don't remember exactly what they call it. They have some unique name for it that I'm blanking on offhand. Essence is what they call it. Yep. I want to thank you for the Team of Friends list. Made a 12-0 run from gold to plat last night. Man, this card's way better when I'm luckier. My deck's mostly creatures, so generally this is like a 2-drop that draws a card. It's unfortunate that 2 times in a row we missed. This is a lane enchantment that creates a 1/1 Temple Snake. At the start of their turn, if this is unoccupied, they create another Temple Snake. It's pretty good. So the starting life in this game is dictated by the path that you pick when you, yeah, this deck draws a lot of cards, Bob. Like a mid-range value deck is an accurate assessment. So the path that you pick with your deck not only gives you a power, but it dictates your starting health total, and your path also dictates what happens, what kind of bonus you get for being on the draw. How would you say the colors in Mythgard loosely compared to the colors in Magic? The colors in Mythgard are a lot less strict compared to Magic. So in Magic, what's allowed to do what in which colors tends to be fairly strict. And in Mythgard, most colors can do most things. It's just Vorthos-wise it'll differ. This enchantment 2. Occupy minion hits. Regen 2. When a minion's created in this lane, gain 2 life. Okay. So this minion has a mechanic called Lurker. So it can't be attacked if there's another minion next to it. So I think I want to go ahead and play out my Scion of the Pride here, so that way they can't attack my 1/3. But then I want my 1/3 to attack their 1/1, because whenever something dies, this gains an energy, and I can spend energy to draw a card here. My opponent's deck, their path here, says at the end of their turn, if the top card of the deck's an enchantment, they draw it. So their deck is a deck based around playing these lane enchantment power-ups.
Fortune favors us.
Am I planning to recast the image? I am not. So because the Invitational is a dead format, I just really don't have an... Energy is per minion. Think about energy as a... it's kind of like Planeswalker loyalty. It's tied to the specific card. All right, so I have a super powerful lane enchantment of my own here. So I'm going to go ahead and play To Heaven and Back here. And what this does is, whenever the minion in this lane dies, if it's not an angel, it comes back to my hand bigger and cheaper. So now it's a 0 cost, 3/4. And then this can kill this, which now 2 minions have died, so this can draw a card. And this can attack their face because there's no minions in front of it. And now, notably, this is a good example of this game's resource system. Even though this card cost me 0 mana, I'm currently missing 2 orange gems, so I can't play it. The max hand size in this game is 9 at end of turn or 10 during your turn. Morning, Haas. I'm going to host the Mythic Championship on my channel after I'm done being live today, but I'm not really planning to watch it myself. Dead formats are kind of dry to watch. Insurance. I think this is my favorite card in this game right now. It just draws so many cards. And this game is very board centric, so it's easy to like set up things where things die. Set up board states where things die.
Fortune favors us.
Dashing Ringmaster is another really strong card in this game. So this card says all other friendly minions you create with 4 strength or less get rushed so they can attack right away. So I'm going to go ahead and deploy Daring Ringmaster here on 2 Heaven and Back, so that way if they kill it, it sticks around. So I'm going to go ahead and Ringmaster here. And now when this comes into play, it gets to attack right away because it has 4 strength or less. So I get to go ahead and kill their thing here, which gives this energy to draw a card. So I can go ahead and attack their face. And then, I have too many cards. It's a good problem to have. So I can play out this 2/1 over here, which gets rush from this Ringmaster. And then I can play out this over here, which gets rush from the Ringmaster. I'm still learning the ins and outs of this game, but this deck is one I've definitely won more than than anything else that I've played. Packs, you can buy them with either the free-to-play currency or the premium currency. Yikes! All right, well, that's a sweeper.
Do we have a mission?
So all of the minions are going to get -3/-3 when I start my turn. Yep. All right, so what's the plan? I'm going to play Peri at the gates here,
Fortune favors us.
which lets me draw a card and look at the top 2 and draw a card. Firesong Prodigy sounds great. So we're gonna set up a pseudo combo kill here. So this card gives all other friendly minions with 4 strength or less rush so they can attack right away. And this card, 7 Ring Ritual, makes 3 1s in every lane that I have that's empty. So if I play this and then play this, it gives me 3 1s with rush that just like run them down pretty quickly. You're a legend. Thanks so much for the raid yesterday. Your community is an amazing one. Yeah, not a problem. Always happy to host smaller people when I'm done. Although today I'm going to be hosting the Mythic Championship when we're off. Oh, they're a 3-color deck. I didn't even notice that. Minions you create in this lane are immortal until your next turn. That's pretty good. Earth Slide. Yep. So this card, this is the payoff for being an enchantment deck. This card fills all of their enchantments with minions here. All right, so what do I want to do here? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I'm going to have this trade here, which comes back to my hand. And then I want to burn something. I've got plenty of cards, so I probably don't need the dashing at this point. I'm going to have this bump here. And then I'm going to play Ringmaster here. And then 7 Ring Ritual to get a bunch of hasty guys. So this can eat here. This can eat here. This can eat here. This can eat their face. And then these 2 would have to attack this, but it's immortal, so there's no reason for me to attack it. So I think I just pass here. Oh, I probably didn't attack super optimally. I could have attacked this here, and then had another 3/1 here that could have hit their face. Maybe that was better. This is just a 4/4 now. Yeah, the lane math, I like that the combat system has so much depth on such a small board. It does a good job of, what does that do? Give a minion suppressed until your next turn. Okay, so they took his ability away to give things haste. So my things don't have haste this turn. That's fine. So magmataur is a good draw. I can drop this. Actually, I can drop this here because then if it dies, I get to heaven and back it. That seems good. So that clears these. It deals 3 damage to the things in front of it. I can play Daring Trapezist here because this has Rush, and I'd rather this trade with their 5-2 than my 3-1 because my 3-1 deals more damage to them. And then I haven't burned a card yet this turn, so I can burn Peri at the gates here to play this 2-cost Peri at the gates.
Fortune.
Yes, the casting cost is both mana and gems. You have to meet both the requirements to play a card. So you have to have the appropriate gems unused and available resources here. And you gain resources by discarding cards from your hand back into your deck. And you can see this card, how it doesn't have the colored bar in the middle. I've already burned this card, so I can't create another resource from this. But this has the colored bar, so it hasn't been burned yet. So because the game's digital, it remembers specific versions of cards that you've burned or haven't burned.
Targets down.
Yep. So that's again an angel. When it comes into play, it destroys everything. And then it gets 1 extra strength for every one of their things it kills, and it loses 1 toughness for every one of my things that it kills. Can I kill them? I can almost kill them here. So I'm going to do this, which gives my minions I create rush. And then I need a red gem to play this out. And I can play Cerberus Unchained here, which then gets rush from this. And this gets to attack all 3 lanes, so it's going to hit my opponent for 9 here. And drops them to 7. Oh, well, I can turn this into a 4-4, right? Deal. It's currently powered up from this, but I can strip that down so it's weaker. So I'm not taking 10. So, like, they're currently in trouble on board, and I have more cards in hand than them, which is great. And if they kill this, it's currently on this 2 heaven and back. So if they kill this, it's going to come back to my hand. So these artifacts over here give all of their minions +1/+1. That's why their stuff's a little bit bigger. But one of the things I really like about this game is the artifacts you can break by just dealing damage to your opponent. So everything's very interactable in this game, which is great. All right, so magmataur here would kill all 3 of these, which sounds excellent. So goodbye, Felicia. And then this attacks for 4, and then this attacks for 2, and then this hits the empty lanes on either side. You can see it puts a skull and crossbones on my opponent to tell me that they're dead. Yes, yeah, this unit has warded, so magmataur can't deal damage to it. The minion here that gives all your other stuff rush is like a must kill on sight in the decks that play it, because your opponent being able to attack with everything right away tends to be super strong. Not bad, .jpg. What's warded? Warded means a minion can only take damage inside of combat. So like things that deal direct damage to them don't do damage. You have to be attacking them. It's like pseudo hexproof, but not quite. And that type of effect is a lot less brutal in this game because minions attack each other directly. It's not quite protection from spells, because if you have a spell that, say, transforms a minion, like we did earlier, you can still transform it. So it's almost protection from spells, but not quite. Some things still get past it. Opponent looks to be playing something aggressive here. Our hand's pretty good against an aggro start. I'm gonna go ahead and play Ghul over here. So the positioning in this game is really important. In general, the loose things I go by is that if you're playing a deck and you're in an aggressive role, you generally want to space your minions like my opponent has here on lanes 1, 4, and 7. And the reason for that is that makes it hardest for me, the defender, to block. If you're playing defense, you want to spread your minions out a little more, so that way they can block more lanes more accessibly. If 3 2-drops here, so I think I'm going to go ahead and burn one of these off, because I don't need that many. This thing has rush, so it can attack right away, so I'm going to play this here, and then my 2-2 can eat their 1-1. Again, this minion here cannot block this. And again, I love how the interface just reminds you how the game works. If I mouse over here, I can see that this impacts these lanes and this cares about the 2 in front of it. This is a stealth minion, so I don't know exactly what this does. But we're going to go ahead and play these trapeze artists out here and find out. Hopefully it's a 3-2. It could be a 1-4. It's a 2-3. Yikes. I'm going to move this over here, so that way these have to attack each other now. And I think I'm going to play Firesong Prodigy out over here. Hey, good games, Ejectee. Ninja's pretty good. This is a mechanic called Breach, where when it hits me, it gets to do something. So when this hits me, it gets to deal 2 to something. So they killed this minion, then this hit me, which let it kill over here. It was a pretty good sequence for them. And you can see again here, this opponent is correctly spacing their units out to minimize my ability to block them inside of combat. I'm going to go ahead and ignition here to kill this. And I'm going to play my own Panic Raider out in the middle, which is going to kill their Panic Raider here. I think I want to burn something to get another resource this turn. Probably burn Peri, since I have other cards that draw. So I can play Firesong Prodigy here, which gives me a spell in my hand that I can use right away. So we'll go ahead and burn this over here. And now something to note is I have 2, but even if I burned a card to get up to 3 resources for this, I still wouldn't be able to play it because I don't have any red gems remaining. And this requires double red, so I'm just going to go ahead and pass here. The board states seem really swingy. I don't think swingy is a fair assessment, just so much as that they're interactive. The board states in this game don't come down to one player getting stalled out like they do in Magic quite frequently. So Magic, the board states tend to get big because Magic's not a very interactive game. You're mostly just like staring at each other and playing past each other. Whereas this game, all of your minions basically double as removal spells. It does change a ton, yes. There's not board stalls like you see in Magic because of the dynamic of how the games play out. This card tends to be pretty good against aggro. It's a 4/9 for 6 that says my life total can't reduce below 1 as long as this is in play. So if they don't find a removal spell, this card just rails them basically. They traded there. They're at 38, but they're running out of cards in place, or they're running out of cards in hand. Dashing Ringmaster's great here because it gives my other things rush again, so I can play this recruit here and rush, so I can trade my 1/1 for their 3/1 and keep my 3/3 alive. Now I have a decision to make. Do I want to keep this lavish proxy because it might be good insurance, or do I want to burn it and start drawing cards? I think I want to burn it and start drawing cards. There's a lot of card advantage in my deck, and my average card is better than theirs, so I think I want to just get this down and get my draw 2 going. That's a draw 3, yep, that's not what we wanted to see. So we're ahead on board at the moment, but that could definitely swing. Depending on what they've got. If they have a rush minion, I assume we're going to see them kill this. Yep, just a removal spell. And they killed that as well. Okay, they're down to 1 card in hand here. So extract life deals damage to a minion equal to all my remaining mana, and then I gain that much life back. Something that's important to note in this game compared to Magic is that you can't deal damage that a thing doesn't have in toughness. So if I extract life, something that's a 1 toughness thing for 7, I still only gain 1, which kind of sucks. I think we're going to get run down here. Kind of bricked off here at the end. Solomon's Gale's pretty good. So I get to Gale here. And then I get to extract life here to get rid of that. And go back up to 7. Solomon's Gale's a 4/6. Then when it hits my opponent, it gets Alpha Strike, which means it hits first in combat. Okay. Okay, so they teamed up to kill my big guy. Oh, Oak Tree is good. Oh, and that gives it rush. Okay, sweet. So that gets us back in this game a little bit. Yeah, the card burning mechanic is really good. So I'm going to take this and give it a move action so I can move this down and then kill this. And I'm going to go ahead and play the old Oak Tree here. This is a 4/3 that can't move, but whenever one of my other minions die, they take 1, I gain 1. And when this dies, I get to look at my top 3 cards and then draw one of them. What's the other player's ability? They have the ability to give their guys a free move action as well. And then their path is why they just got a guy back. So their path says... Oh, none of those are great. I guess I'll take an insurance broker. Their path says whenever one of their minions dies, they gain a soul. And when they've collected enough souls, they get to get a minion back to their hand. All right, so I think I want to put the dashing ringmaster here. I'm going to put the insurance broker here, and this gives my insurance broker rush so it can attack right away. And these can trade here, which gives this energy so I can draw a card. It's another broker, and then this can kill here. And then we're kind of in an okay spot, except their power keeps bringing them stuff back to their hand. This Crimson Pact kills a minion, but I lose life equal to its health, which kind of sucks. Scion of the Pride. Ads reminded me I need to reset. Hit me with that sweet timeout. We got you. All right, so... I think I insurance broker to start here. Because insurance broker lets me eat this, most likely. And it's putting a question mark here because the stealth minion could impact combat. It did not. And I think I'm going to burn... Am I going to burn that? They have no cards in their hand. I'm going to Dark Passenger this so it gains Deadly, and then this can trade here. Perfect. And now both of these can draw cards. Hopefully some of these cards can get me back in the game. And then I'm going to go down to 4 here, but this Crimson Pact takes their last threat off the table. So I'm at 4, but they have nothing left at the moment. Yeah! What a tilt. They drew a 4-power haste creature. So that's why there's only one of that spell that kills the thing and we lose life equal to its power, because against the aggro decks it's pretty bad. We almost stabilized there. One of the issues with this deck is it doesn't really have good ways to gain life, except for extract life, and the aggro decks in this game, their minions have such low toughness, you can't gain a ton of life against them. So, Armageddon Angel costs 7, we're not going to play that for forever, so you want to start by burning your more expensive cards usually. Well-built decks in this game frequently curve out consistently because of the way the resource system works, which is great. So this is an 0-3 that every turn it gets 1 more life, and they can remove 3 life from it to draw a card. So we're going to attack this because it takes its toughness to a point where they can't draw cards with it, which is nice. Crappy Unicorn is my new favorite player avatar. All right, so I think I want to just... I think I want to get my insurance broker going here.
Pay your premiums.
Because insurance broker gains power when we kill things, so I want to play that down before I start killing things. This does expose the insurance broker to like a removal spell from them before it can draw, so maybe I should wait. Could go either way on that. Is there a strategy to not burning certain cards to not reveal them to your opponent? Yeah, I think that's pretty minimal, especially if like people are familiar with what's going on in the game. They're probably gonna have some idea of what you're doing. Yeah, it's the board states are easy to follow in this game. It doesn't get cluttered like in Magic because of the lane system. You know what to expect basically. All right, so I want to play this double red card this turn, so I'm going to go ahead and burn a red card. And then my Panic Raider can play here and attack this 0-1 and kill it. So that's the 3rd minion that dies, so the broker gets to make an energy now, which draws me a card. I can attack. Using an energy ability is not the same as attacking. I'm going to go ahead and play my Eager Recruit here in the middle. This Born Again's kind of annoying. At the end of their turn, it always goes back to their hand, but this dying also charges up the insurance broker, so it's kind of a reasonable trade-off for us. Yeah, the overlay makes things super clear for sure. Yeah, Heaven and back with Panic Raider is very, very strong. For sure. This is a enchantment that when the minion in the lane that is occupying dies, it comes back to my hand and gets cheaper. Yeah, the Born Again artwork is weird. I guess the flavor is like it's a dead kid that comes back, which is a little creepy. Agile is kind of like flying. It's a form of evasion. What's my favorite color combo? I think it's this one at the moment. I've definitely really liked how this one plays. So this has armor 1, so it takes 1 less damage inside of combat. So I could just deploy... Thought you'd like to know, the devs are ex-Blizzard and wrote their own engine. I'm chatting with them on Discord. Nice, Bob. I think I want to just get to Heaven and back down here just because, like, the endless value from that's going to be pretty good. I think I'm going to burn the Scion for now. So this is definitely going to the face. This is definitely going to the face. I'm going to trade these so the insurance broker comes back. And then if this won't kill this, but this will come back to my hand bigger and scarier. And it'll give this the last energy it needs to draw a card. So I think I'm just going to run this in here and bounce it back to my hand. And then draw a card here. So this is now a 3/3, so it gets to draw 3 cards over the course of a few turns, which is sick. You have a quick rundown of the colors and their analogs to Magic. So there aren't really great direct comparisons in this game to the colors in Magic. Green is kind of rampy still, I guess, in big monsters, but there's more overlap in this game between what the colors can do, which I actually like because it creates fewer feel-bad moments where you're like, I just can't interact with what you're doing. It feels like there's a big focus in this game on making sure the games stay interactive, which, as someone who likes playing mid-range decks, I appreciate that. Yeah, Magmataur is about to plop down here onto Heaven and back and crush both of these so we can keep attacking their face. Yeah, the colors seem to be more about flavor than about abilities. I agree with that. This is an artifact that does what? After an opponent's minion deals combat damage to a player, it takes 2 damage and this artifact loses 2 durability. Well, that's a little rude. I guess that's actually not too bad for me. So I get to do this here, which kills both of these and gives this 2 energy. And then this will hit my opponent and this artifact's gonna kill it. But I'm kind of okay with that because that lets the insurance broker draw a card. I'm kind of all about drawing cards, right? I'm gonna burn this red card here, and I'm gonna play this, play this 1/1 out over here, I guess.
Do we have a mission?
Again, I couldn't play my Panic Rider out there, even though it cost 1, because I didn't have 2 remaining red gems. I like games where mid-range can exist too. Firm agree. So this is a 3/11. Normally that would be pretty scary, but I have my Dark Passenger here, which gives this deadly. So this is just going to go ahead and trade with their big thing, and then it draws a card. I charge up the insurance broker. This kills this, which charges the insurance broker. I do need to eventually work my way through this artifact, though. I wonder if I'm just supposed to, like, throw Panic Raider away. Probably not. Let's play the Oak down over here. Burn off the Lavish proxy, because I'm still at a pretty high health total. This Eager Recruit can eat up this artifact, too, which is nice.
Reporting.
Before leaving for work, Mythbit. Thanks, Kasha Dan. I appreciate it. It's starting to feel like America with all these insurances. Yep, this card draws so many cards. Like I said, this is definitely my favorite card in the game right now. Woof. Yep, that's a sweeper. All right. So my board's about to die, which does let me divination here, so that's nice. They're still pretty far behind on cards, so I think even with that sweeper there, we're still pretty far ahead. Yeah, the broker drew a lot of cards. Do I just want another insurance broker? I don't think so. I think I want Firesong Prodigy. I already had a Firesong Prodigy. I'm dumb. That's fine. I can just burn it. Am I burning it? All right, so what am I doing here? This artifact has 5 durability left on it, so I kind of want to get through that. So I'm going to go Dashing Ringmaster over here. And then I can play Firesong Prodigy here, which lets me bump this off, which is nice. And then this Paris Recruit will get rushed from this, so I can attack their face right away. And then again, even though I have 2 resources left, I can't play either of these red cards, so I've already spent all my red gems this turn. I've already burned a card, so I'm just passing. My opponent's notably down to just 2 cards in hand, and we've got 6 cards in our hand still. So even though the boards are similar, we're definitely ahead at the moment. This is a minion that can never take more than 2 damage inside of combat, which is pretty powerful. Speaking of pretty powerful, so I'm going to go ahead and Crimson Pact this. And then let's go ahead and burn this extra Panic Raider. I'm going to put the Cerberus here. This thing notably attacks all 3 lanes, and it gets rushed from this. So this is going to kill their snake and kill some of their artifacts. And then this can hit them and hurt their artifacts some more. So anyway, to see your current deck, there is not. My number 1 request for their Twitch extension is I would like for them to show what the current deck list is on it. So hopefully they add that at some point. When I post the YouTube video, the deck list will be in the video descriptions as always. I think they're dead, right? So this attacks and clears all 3 of these lanes, and then to heaven and back brings it back to my hand. And then this is a 4/10 now, so I can play it, and it attacks all 3 lanes with rush from here and attacks for 12. Yeah, sweet. Ringmaster's very good. I think Ringmaster is definitely one of the strongest ones in the game at the moment. Yeah, there is Stairway to Hades in here too. It's playing both Stairway and To Heaven and Back. All right, let's play one more, and then I'm gonna call it a day. Getting a little bit hungry. Gotta do my post stream and then get some lunch and head to the gym. So play one more on this. And remember, if you're interested in giving this a try and you haven't yet, Mythgard has hooked me up with an unlimited supply of treat codes, which are good for 10 booster packs and some wild cards to get you started. You can also sample this game completely for free by playing the different feature decks that rotate twice per week. So you can play with either of these community-built decks that are reasonably competitive on the ladder without owning any of the cards in them. So great for sampling the game. Game's a lot of fun, and the software is really well done. Play it on Android, iOS, Steam, on Windows, Linux, and OS X. It runs right in your web browser in Google Chrome, and probably other inferior browsers too, but it definitely works in Google Chrome. How do you get that welcome pack? Just drop me a direct message here on Twitch, and I will send out the welcome pack codes, the treat codes, after I'm done streaming today. It's probably like in the next hour or so. If you're a sub, you can also message me on Discord, but the codes are not just for subscribers, so I've got an literally unlimited supply of them for the next week. 6 days. They're good till the 24th. And just a general note, if you're going to message me on Twitch, make sure your settings enable you to get direct messages, because some people have sent me messages asking for a code, and their settings don't allow me to message them back. There's been a few of those. One thing that's a little bit awkward with this list that I'm playing is that I have some double orange 2-drops, and you can't double orange 2-drop into double red 3-drop, but these cards are both individually powerful, so I think that little bit of anti-synergy on the curve is fine. It does work on mobile. For people that are my normal Magic viewers, I do like to warn people it's going to feel a little bit strange playing this game because you don't have to restart the client every 90 minutes. It just runs fast and efficient and is really clippy for as long as you want to play. So like set a timer and make sure you take breaks because the client's not going to crash to remind you to take a break. Hey, Jello Legend, thanks for the brand new Prime support. I appreciate that. Welcome to Hooglandia. Hope you're having an excellent one wherever you are. There are 400 unique cards in the game at the moment, I believe. Their first core set is very large. I guess I just burn a Panic Raider here. My opponent's deck appears to be a little bit aggressive, so I want to hold my Magmataur to clear some minions out later. I'll drop Insurance Broker over here.
Pay your premiums.
As long as I get, well, that's, so the other frustrating thing about this game is you can't blame your losses on just like getting mana screwed because you always get to actually play. You have to like make good decisions and burn correct cards. You can't just be like, I flooded and died and there was nothing I could do because there's no resource variance. All right, what does the enchantment do? Whenever you create a minion, deal 1 damage to all the minions in the opposite lanes. Oh, so that made this a 1/2. That's rude. So if I attack here, I have to trade. That doesn't feel good. Frustrating thing I have to play. Well, yeah, exactly. It's like, darn it. Can't just blame other people. All right, so I think I'm just gonna broker down here. It feels bad that this didn't draw a card, but if I trade these here, this broker can then draw a card. 3rd insurance broker. Yeah, I'm probably in for that. Huh? What am I burning here? I think I'm gonna burn the Dark Passenger. If they play a really big minion, I'm gonna regret doing that, but I don't have anything good to tack that onto at the moment. Okay, so I want to play Stairway to Hades here, but something that's important to note is I don't really want to tuck Stairway to Hades over here in the corner because I want the minion that's in it to be able to be scary to all 3 of these lanes. So I'm going to play this and then slide this over into it. So you can either move or attack, assuming your minion doesn't have immobile. Avalish, thanks for the 3rd of a year support. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Tried this game for the first time last night. The gameplay is great. I already have a pretty fun deck put together. Nice. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Oh, right. So normally your minion comes back here, but they had a spell here, the Spirit Lion, that turns it into a 4/4. So it just goes away. Mostly I'm watching on YouTube. Thanks for loads of awesome content and making it all available there. Thanks for checking it out. Wow, that's rude. Well, that turn didn't go as well as we wanted it to. So this card comes into play and it destroys one of my enchantments. I think I'm going to play this here and then play this out. We need to get some cards going here. So these two together. Oh, what does this do? While this is occupied, enemy minions have rush suppressed. I feel personally attacked. I can't rush. That was my whole thing.
Fortune favors us.
Now this is pretty good placement for us here. So they put this here to block. But Magmataur next turn is going to drop down here and give the hammer to both of these, which will charge up our insurance broker. So that's pretty reasonable for us. Oh, they're sliding. Oh, they ate my thing. That's unfortunate. Huh. So now, since they moved that over, I can do this here. So that feels good. Does the game feel more like Hearthstone than Magic? That's the vibe I'm getting from it at the moment. This game takes the best parts of Hearthstone and the best parts of Magic and gets rid of all the parts that suck. Is the best description I can give you for it. The combat system is a mix of Hearthstone minions can attack minions while paired with strategic blocking elements that you get in Magic, which is really pleasant. They moved that down so they could attack. Oh, well.
Do we have a mission?
Huh? Feel kind of dead here. Like, this card is normally one of our go over the top cards, but it's like really bad on this board because these things just deal 1 to everything. So like, it doesn't really accomplish anything. I think I'm just burning that. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and just angel here so I can get a big beefcake down on the table. This kills all the stuff and has an excellent animation.
Fortune favors us.
I don't know. The older, I definitely used to be on team, I really want to interact on my opponent's turn all the time. But maybe it's just because I'm impatient as I get older. But like waiting for my opponents to sit there and make decisions every time they gain priority whenever I do anything, it gets pretty tedious after a while. It could definitely just be like where I'm at in my life now versus where I used to be, but it slows the gameplay down a lot. And like, honestly, the biggest thing you always hear from people is they like to play on their opponent's turns because they feel it makes the gameplay interactive. Magic is way less interactive than games like this. Like, Magic, when you sit down and think about it and really compare it to what other games are doing, it's not a particularly interactive game. So do I want to play this Panic Reader out? I feel like the opponent's deck is like pretty well set up to beat ours, and there's a lot of red aggressive decks in this game, so it doesn't surprise me. It seems like the deck's got a lot of good tech cards in it. Like, the fact that like all of my rush minions are just turned off really feels bad. It's also just like from the perspective of like you get to do your thing. There's no like the Flash deck in the current Magic standard format is such a great example. Like that deck's not even good, but it just sucks to play against, right? 'Cause you don't actually get to execute your game plan. And I know that that's like some people's jam. All they want to do is play decks that counter spells, but from an enjoyment perspective, it creates bad gameplay patterns. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and be done. They definitely railed us. All of our card advantage was pretty dependent on our rush minions getting to play, and their enchantment suppressing our rush was pretty brutal. I said we were gonna do missions. I didn't even look at what my missions were when we started. While burning yellow and red cards. Kill 25 minions. Probably could have done that while we were playing. At any rate, that's going to be it for me for today, folks. I want to wrap up a little bit early today so I can go to the gym and do some other stuff. Thanks, everyone, for watching. I'm planning to be back on Monday about 7:15 in the morning. My Mythgard scheduled streams, I believe, are going to be Wednesday and Thursday afternoons moving forward. As always, you can find my schedule on not only when I'm going to be live, but what games and formats I'm going to be playing on my website there. And everybody enjoy the rest of your weekend. As always, I'm going to do one last ad roll before I sign off. So if you're not a sub, a great way to support the content is to hang out for that. But otherwise, enjoy your weekend, folks.